All right, thank you for joining me. In this section of this video, I'll be walking you through how to download an application that can help you extract template folder. Most of the time over the internet, when you download templates that are made with Excel, they usually come with in a compressed form. So it therefore means that when you download this template that usually come in compressed form and you copy to your system, you need to have an application that can help you extract the actual folder from the compressed version. Okay, so in this section of the video, I'll be walking you through how to do that. Now, the application I will be using, or that I am personally using, is called Winrar. This is how the application looks on my system. This is the application. So this is the application that I need to have on my system in order for me to extract any compressed file that I download over the internet, especially files that are made with Excel templates that are referred to as Excel templates. So this is the application that I use to extract this file. Okay, so now the important thing is that you need to understand your system specification. They have the one of 32-bit and they will have the one of 64-bit. So you need to know which one will be compatible with your system. Are you using a system that is 64 or your system is 32? So you need to check your system specification. But I'm very optimistic that your system could be currently 64. But let's not judge. Let's just check your system specification to know either you are 64 bits or 32-bit. But in my own case, my system is 64-bit, so I know the version of the application that I'm going to download. So the next step is that you open your preferred browser. In my own case, my preferred browser is Google Chrome. Then I'll go to Google. Can you see google.com? So this is the home page of Google, right? So in the space bar, I'm going to type Winrar. Can you see Winrar 64-bit download? Don't worry, either you are using 32-bit or 64-bit. Just type this search keyword, Winrar 64-bit download. Then you click on enter. So you are going to get into this very first website, this very first results, search engine results page, this first website. So I'm going to right click in my own case, then so that it's open in a new tab. So this is the official website of the Winrar application. They are currently running a version 7 of the application, either 64 or 32-bit. So what you need to do once you get to this page is scroll down to this place where it says latest Winrar English version. Can you see? This is it. You see that we have the two versions there. Either your system is 64 or your system is 32. Like in my case, I'm running a 64-bit system, so I just downloaded this 64-bit version. But if yours, after confirming your system specification, is 32, of course you download this 32-bit version. So it is after you've downloaded this application, then you'll be rest assured that when you download a template online that is made with Excel program, then you'll be rest assured that you have an application that can help you extract the folder, so that by the time you extract the folder, you'll be able to access the folder like this you are seeing. Because majority of the Excel templates you'll be having, majority of them will not work readily because there are some embedded programmings that have been done to functionally extend the functionality of Excel. So as a result of that, if your system is not properly enabled, you might not be able to use this template. So that is why in this video, I want to quickly explain to you what you need to do in order to extend the functionality of your Excel. So if you get a template and you discover that some of the features, some of the icons are not working properly, or some of the drop down are not performing any particular action, then this is what you need to do. It therefore means that you've not extended the functionality of your Excel. So in this video, I want to show you what to do. So what you have not done is that you have not enabled the macro on your system, on your Excel. Okay, because most of these templates have programs embedded in them, so you need to extend their functionality like I've said. So what do you need to do? First, you need to close the app, the template sent to you, close it. Then you do this. You launch a blank Excel sheet, just like you see me doing. You launch a blank Excel sheet. So after launching, you come to this place that says file. So I'll click on file. Then you come to this place that says options. I'll click on options. Then you come to this place that says Trust Center. I'll click on it. Then lastly, you come to this place that says Trust Center Settings. Then I'll click on it. Now I'll now come to this place that says Macro Settings. See, so this is where you enable your macro. So I'll click on it. Clicking on it, you see that mine is already enabled. We have about 4 options there. Then you tick the last one. You check the last one that says enable all macros. Okay, because macros could be harmful. That is why Excel by default disabled it. But because you want to extend the functionality of your Excel so that you'll be able to use some of the templates that you'll be getting or that you are going to get from us, so that is why you need to enable this macro. So enable this macro now means that your Excel is no longer an ordinary document file. You can now use Excel that comes with programs in it. So once you enable the macro, then you click on OK. Can you see? You click on OK, then you close every other thing. It is until then you can now launch the template sent to you, and after launching you discover that all the features that were hibernated or that you couldn't use, you will now be able to use them. Of course, this is a review video of our school fees and debt management accounting template. Okay, so this template that I'll be walking you through is to help you solve a section of your school account that has to do with school fees and debt management. Okay, so for you to download or have access to this template file that I'll be using in this video, you need to go to the description of this video to download it. I'll put a link there that is going to lead you to where you are going to download the template. And when you download the template, this is the exact thing you are going to get. This template is for one of our partner school, so that is what I'm going to be using to test run for those of you that are following me, and you are going to be able to access this when you go to the description and download it through the link. Okay, it's for one of our partner school, Glorious Destiny. Okay, so there are a couple of schools that have partnered with us such that we can deploy our templates to them. So if you want to be part of this partner school, you can check the description on how you can contact me, or better still, you too can develop something like this for yourself. So when you watch this video, you'll be able to see if it is something you can do for your school. Then you build something custom that can help you to solve your school accounting need, rather than investing huge amount of money to buy an elaborate template or program. Okay, that being said, so when you download it, this is what you are going to get. So the next thing is for us to extract the folder we are going to be working with. Remember I told you that when you download templates online, most of the time they are going to come compressed as you are seeing them, and that is the reason why we downloaded this Winrar application in the earlier section of this video. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll select this template, I'll right click on it. It will give me options to extract, but I'll click on the one that says extract here. You will see the option to extract it. So once I click on it, it's going to extract the folder. Now this is the folder. This is the template I downloaded online. It comes in a compressed form. After extracting, this is the folder I got. So I am no longer going to need this one. I'm going to work with this one because this is our workstation. This is the folder that we are going to be carrying out all or majority of the work we are going to be doing. Okay, so let's see what is inside this folder. When I double click, I'm going to have 3 items. As you can see on your screen, we have 3 items. The first one is S photo, which stands for student photo. Maybe when you are using a template, you want the student photo to also appear as you select student from student to student. You can put the passport size photo of your student in this folder as you are seeing on your screen. This is an example. And when you do that, ensure that you rename the name of the folder of the photo to the admission number of the student, or we call it ID in this template. So whatever ID you are giving to each student, that is the same name you are going to call their photo here. So no matter the number of students you have in your school, just put all their photo in this folder and make sure that you rename the photo according to the name or to the ID given to each student. For instance, now if the ID given to this student is ABC, let's say ABC-123. So it means that this is the admission number of this student. I'm just using it as a case study. So this is how we are going to rename all the photos of the students in your school that you want their photo to appear in the template. So after doing that, you can also do the same thing for your teachers. You can open this T photo and put the passport size photo of your teachers inside this folder. So doing that, you can now work with the main program. This is our main program. Remember, I have refused to call it Excel document because it is no longer an ordinary spreadsheet. It is now a program that you can use, to extend the functionality of Excel. So when you double click on it, let's see what we have. We want to open the template to see exactly what we have in a template. All right, so our template is fully loaded. So this is the template after launching it. So let me magnify. So this is the interface you are going to get. Now on this interface, this is where you get the summary or the analysis per class. Each of the class is represented with a box, and each of the box you have the details, the financial status or summary of your class. This is a summary of all the activities that are going on at the back end. As you are engaging with the back end, you can come to this front page to get a summary and overview at a glance of the financial standing of each class. This template is not going to combine all classes together and give you a combined financial details. No, you can follow up each class to know which class is performing and which class is underperforming, and it covers the 3 terms in a session. Okay, irrespective of the country, it can cover all the academic session that you are targeting. Okay, for instance, now this is nursery 1A. Now this class, I may use nursery, I may use whatever name. You can change them, and I'm going to show you how to do that in subsequent video, that in subsequent section of this same video. Okay, so for nursery 1A, we can track number of students in that class, number of full payments, number of part payments, and number of no payments, and that is how it cut across every other classes in your school. If you drag it down, if you drag this scroll bar down, you can enter up to 48 classes. 48 classes. You can enter up to 48 classes in this template. I understand that you might not have such number in your school, but irrespective of the number of classes you have, this is to show you that it can contain all classes, even up to 48 arms. Okay, so it shows that this template is elaborate. So in the number of class and number of students in class, you can track for first term, for second term, and for third term. You can track those that have paid, or those that how many students paid out of the total number of students in first term. From then you'll be able to know which term is better per class, or which term is slow, or which term is not performing well as expected, and this and that. So with this, you can take your decision and your action by the summary you get here. So also the fund, how much are you expecting for that class? How much have you collected for that class? How much is left unclaimed? And the one that you have collected, how many percent does that interpret to? Okay, so you can track this for each of the terms in the academic session, first term, second term, third term. At the end of the day, you can get this sectional summary of your financial standing for that class. Okay, so you can know the class you need to intensify your effort, and which one you need to just do minor efforts to mop up the money that is left. Okay, so this is how to track the financial insight or analysis per class and your school in extension. Okay, so now that you have seen this, if you look at the bottom left, you see that the only tab you are seeing is menu tab. You'll now be wondering, how do I navigate to other tabs in this template? Okay, before we get to that, you need to understand that there is a customization you need to do. The name of your school, the address, all of these customization will also appear on your school receipts. So that is why this customization is important. So whatever information you are seeing here now, you are going to see it on the school receipt, because this template also helps you to generate receipts of payments up to 4 installments. The students can pay up to 4 installments. You can track cash flow up to 4 installments. And all of this, you are going to see it on the receipt. The receipt will distinguish each of the installments paid. So you are going to see it when we get there. So how do you navigate from page to page or from interface to interface on this template? You see this section that says go to. Currently, it is selected as none. So when you tap on that space, you see the drop down icon. So once I click on it, these are the options that you can get under the drop down. Can you see? So each of these options you are seeing represent a page on this template. Each of these options you are seeing represent a page on this template. For instance, if I click on receipt and I come back to the bottom left, you see, aside from the menu, we now have another icon that says receipt, right? Let's see what is in the receipt. This is how the receipt looks like. Can you see the name of the school, the address of the school, and the school logo? We are going to get to that. So definitely we are going to get from page to page, interface to interface, using this icon. Now I want to sound the caution. If you do not enable macro on your system, none of this thing will work. Even though when you select any of the options in a drop down, you will not see any action or any reaction, because macro has not been enabled. So that is one of the reasons, or one of the most important thing why you need to enable the macro on your system, because all the extended function of Excel, they will not work if your system does not have enabled macro. All right, welcome back. in this section of this video, I'll be walking you through how to log in students. You want to load in students into this template, or you want to admit students into this template, or you want to enter students into the template, whatever you like to call it. Okay, now if you look at our bottom left, remember the last option I picked was receipts. So let me just go back to this place and put it to none. Let me put it to none. If I put it to none, let's see what happens. And we'll come back to the bottom left. Can you see? Nothing is there again because we have selected none here. Okay, so now we want to admit students. We want to put students into this template. How do you log in students? You come to this navigation point, then you click on admission. You click on admission. Once you click on admission, let's see what has happened in the bottom left. A new tab has been added and it's called admission. Can you see that? So I'll tap on it. So this is the admission interface. This is the interface where you enter all the students in your school. Okay, this is where you are going to do the activity. So I'm going to run a demo so that you understand how to do it. So I'm going to give an ID number. Remember I talked about this ID where you are entering the photo of your student inside the S folder. So this ID, I can call it ABC-123. Can you see the moment I call this ID, look at what has happened. The picture of my student has appeared because I have used the same ID with which I saved this picture in that folder, right? So let's move on. Let's say the name of the child is A. Abdul Karim. Let's say the name of the student is Abdul Karim. Then the student, let's say the student is in let me go down to SS1A, for instance. I'm just using this as an example. Then the date of birth, let's say 23 July 2010. Can you see? 23 July 2010. The gender is male. The status is a returning student, so I'll choose old. Then date with which I log in the student. Let's say the date is 5th of May 2024. Then I'll come to contact. In the place of contact, just put the contact of the student. It could be phone contact, it could be just put anything as it deem fit. So I'll just put anything I like so that I can just use it as so in the place of parents information is also important because of correspondence. There is no way you admit a child in your school that you don't have the data of the parents. Okay, that is why it is also important. It is as important as the information of the child itself. Okay, so I'll just put a demo value ABC. Permit me for the ABC. I just want to put demo information there so that we can just get over ABC. And in this case, if I don't have information, I'll just put NA not available, NA not available. Okay, so that is that. Now that I've entered the information of the child, of the student, and that of his parents, the next thing for me to do is to click on save. When I click on save, there is a pop-up that will come that will say, do you want to save this data? I'll click on yes. So the moment I do that, you see that this information has been logged into the table, into the database. Can you see? And immediately it clears off the form. Then it says new data saved successfully. So I'll click on OK. The moment I click on OK, you see that the photo and every information that has to do with the child cleared off the form. So if I want to recall this child, maybe I want to edit something, maybe I made a mistake with his name, I'll just click on edit data. The pop-up will ask me for the ID of the student. The ID of the student is ABC-123. So once I click on OK, it will ask me that if I want to change the ID of the student. Let's assume that the student is actually ABC-122. If I want, the pop-up is asking me, do you want to update the provided ID? Okay, yes, I want to change it. So I want to change, instead of ABC-123, I want to change it to ABC-122. So when I click on OK, it will say ID updated in the database. And if you look at this ID truly, you see that it is now ABC-122. That means I've been able to update or override the previous ID to the new one. So I'll click on OK. So once I click on OK, look at what has happened. Say data field loaded for editing. I'll click on OK. So look at this thing has recalled the information of the student back to the form. In case I want to make an edit, let's say that the student is now in SS2, I can just change it from SS1A to SS2A. Can you see? I can change from SS1A to SS because the student has been promoted. Then with that, I'll click on save data. Do you want to save this information or this data? Yes. An identical ID has been imported in the database. Do you want to proceed? I want to overwrite. Yes. So the moment I do that, it will be successfully submitted. Can you see now 2 things have changed? I have edited the ID to 112. I've also changed the student class to SS2A. It was initially in SS1 and in SS2. So this is how to log in your students individually into the database system, so that you can now go on to do the financial uploading of the figures and the monies, cash flow that has to do with that child. So we are going to see the next session of this video. But before we go, there's other thing I wanted to look at. At this point, if you look at this, I can select SS2A. Let's see what will happen if I select SS2A. It should be able to give me analysis. This is SS2A. Can you see in SS2A we have only one child. Total students in SS2A is 1, because that is the only thing I have here. That is the only information I have here, and the child is even in SS2A. So no female, 1 male. So we can also get a quick analysis of the number of students in our class, in each of the classes, using these features. All right, welcome back. So as we can see, I have populated this database with a few information to help us for this case study. Okay, so now that we have entered names of students in the school with their respective classes indicated following this data entry form, let's assume that for this first student here, where we have Abdul Karim, this particular where we have Abdul Karim, let's assume that we made a mistake with his name, or we want to add a third name. So what do we do in case we want to make editing? What do we do? So what we have to do is we first click on this edit data. This dialog box will pop up. It will ask us for the ID for the particular student we want to edit. Okay, so in this case we have an ABC-123. That's the student we want to edit. So I'll click on OK. So what happens? Do you want to update the provided ID? The answer is yes. So now the editing that I want to do concerning this student, do I also want to edit the admission number, as in this number? Do I want to edit it? If it is something I want to edit, I can just make my modification. But if I still want to leave it as it is, I'll just click on OK. So it's going to bring out the data of this student. That is data field loaded for editing. So I'll click on OK. So what do I want to edit? Remember I said that we are assuming that there was a mistake in his name. So what I will just do is, maybe I want to add a third name. So I'll just say maybe the third name is Ade. Okay. Once I do that, then I'll come back to this place and click on save data. Do you want to save this data? Yes. Now an identical ID has been found in the database. Do you want to proceed with overwrite? The answer is yes. So it will overwrite the information of Ade. I'll click on OK. Can you see now? We now have Abdul Karim Ade. So that means that we've been able to edit. So this is how you modify whatever information you have entered for each student. Okay. Now that we have learned what to do here, the next phase will be our admin page, our admin interface. Remember, this one is our admission interface. But before we go to the admin interface, where we are going to do the major work on this template, let's see what this one is for. Currently, we have the overall statistics, or insights concerning all the information I've been able to enter on this in this database. Okay, I told us there are demo information just to help us for the case of this tutorial. So this summary is telling us that overall we have 8 male students entered and 12 female entered so far in this database. So that is just the work there. So if I click on this space and click on this dialog box, if I click on nursery 1A, it's going to give me the summary for only nursery 1A. In nursery 1A, I've entered 2 males and 3 females, making a total of 5 students in nursery 1A. So this is just to give us a glimpse of the insight of the students we have in our school. Possibly you quickly want to know the number of boys or the number of girls in the class, or you want to do something that has to do with the agenda, or you want to even know the population of each class. You can quickly get an idea from it as well. So next is to go to the admin interface so that we can go and do the necessary settings to start using this template. So I'll come to menu, then I'll come back to go to this place. I say go to, then this is my admin. I'll click on admin. The moment I click on admin, what happens? This admission tab has changed to admin tab. Initially it was admission that was here. Now it has changed to admin. So let's click on the admin. Now this is a blank sheet on the admin interface. On this admin interface, you see that nursery 1A, nursery 1B, nursery 1C, nursery whatever class it is, you see that there is no student presently populated here. Yet on the admission, we have entered students. So what you do is, the moment you come here, you click on this update class list. Can you see? You update the class list. So without updating the class list, the students will not reflect here. Please take note of that. So whatever information of students you have entered on the admission interface, you need to come to the admin and update the list. Please always do this. Update the list so that you can have, it's just like a refresh, so that you can have, and remember this Abdul Karim Adi that we modified. Can you see? Now properly placed in their class. Now, what are the things you can also do on this interface aside from populating each class with the students in these classes? Let's come to this academic session. You can change this academic session. Presently is at 2023-2024. I can decide to change it to 2024-2025 academic session. Very important, because you are going to see the importance as we move on. Now, the next thing is build table heading. Build table. The build table will be the next, the build interface will be the next interface we shall be going after this admin interface, the build interface. So that build interface, what are the headings, the table headings you want on your build interface? These are just demo information. I never can tell what the reality is at your end, at your school. You understand? But I'm just using this, as an example for the use case of this template. So the bills, the bills, what do you want to have on your bills heading, the table? Just like we have nursery 1A, nursery 1B, nursery 1C here. On the bill, the school bill, what are the items you want to consider on the school bill? You want to consider tuition, you want to consider PTA, you want to consider developmental fee, feeding, first aid, depending on whatever thing you want to reflect on your school bill. So this is where you determine what name you want to call them. Okay. The next thing is waiver, the deductions. School fees is different from school bill. Let me clarify that. When you say tuition is part of the school fees, there are other items that makes up the school fees. Okay. So there are some deductions. Possibly a child is on scholarship, or a child is on an award, or a child is under a particular consideration. For some schools that do say that once you have 3 children or 3 kids, you pay for 2 and 50% for the third one, depending on the reality in your school. So you can decide to name your waiver or your deductions, whatever you desire. Whatever you desire, you can decide to name your deductions. By the time you get to the school billing system on this template, you are going to understand better, so that as you go ahead, you can come back to change whatever name you want to call yours. Other things that we can do here is the payment mode. When you get to the payable fees, you are going to understand this. Parent pays and the school fees in diverse diverse means. Some bring cash to school. You should be able to account for the cash received. Some go to the bank to go and pay. When you want to do your auditing and your accounting, you should be able to know how much you have in the bank, how much cash was paid, how much was paid through POS, ATM, whatever the case may be, irrespective of your country. Just put the various payment mode that you accept in your school. Just put them. All of these are editable. Okay, they are editable. Now let's go down more. This is also very, very important. This is where you specify the currency of your the currency you receive as payment. The way we have built this template is to help us serve across the world. So it is not only specific for a particular country. Irrespective of your country, you can come here to edit the currency. For instance, if you are using it in Ghana, that means this one will be cedis. Pesa. I don't know if it is Ghana. The second currency maybe is Pesa. I don't know. So this is just how to modify it for your country. So if you are in Sierra Leone, you are in Togo, you are in Ivory Coast, you are in CFA, you are in America, you are in whatever country. So this is where you specify your currency. If you don't specify this currency, then you are going to be using the default currency that comes with this template. Okay, that is where you do that. Now, the most important activity here is the naming of classes. Now, this is where you change it. This demo template, I used nursery 1A, nursery 1B. This might not be what you need it for. This might not be what you call your students or your classes in your school. Okay, this is where you modify. All of these that we have here, they are editable. Now you can enter up to 48 arms of classes. 48 arms of classes in this place. So whatever you put here, whatever name you call your classes, that is what is going to reflect at the top here. You see, we have nursery 1A, nursery 1B, nursery 1C, nursery 1 and nursery 2A, and so on. So whatever you have here is what we have here presently is as a result of what I put here as demo data. So if I change anything here, let's assume this nursery 1, I want to change the nursery, I want to abbreviate it to NURS. NUR, can you see? Nursery 1, then this nursery, I want to abbreviate it as well. I don't want to spell it in full. I'm just doing this so that you understand what will happen. So I just want to abbreviate all the nursery to NUR. Okay, so one more. I'm just doing this so that you understand the use case. Now I've changed all the nursery class that I spelled in full initially. I've changed them, I've abbreviated them to NUR. Okay, I need to abbreviate this one too completely so that everything will be even. Okay, all the nursery classes have now been abbreviated to NUR. So let's go and see what will happen at the top. Now still, can you see? They've been updating, and now all classes have updated. Initially they were spelled in full, but now we have NUR1A, NUR1. So this is how you edit the classes in your school. You come here, you edit all the classes in your school. Another thing I need to mention is that you need to click on this update class. So once you click on this update class, what happens is that it's going to update all the classes based on your current listing of names here. Based on your current listing of names here, it's going to update all the classes. If you come up, can you see? So this is our new update. So this is basically what you do here. That is all the activities you have to perform here, nothing more. So in summary, you update the names of the students as you have entered on the admission list, and you click on update so that you can always have the fresh list. You come here, change the academic session. You come here, all items that you want to make your school bill, that you want to make up your school bill will be listed here. This place is where what you call your waiver, your deductions, the various deductions that students, you give it to your student. And at this point, this is where you determine the bank. Excuse me. This is where you decide on the bank. The banking, maybe POS, you are using POS, you are using, banking transfer, and so on and so forth. All right. We are going to the next interface, which is our bill breakdown. The bills, the school bills, how we can use these templates to determine the school bill. But before we move away from this admin interface, remember this is our admin interface. Before we move away to the bill interface, I want you to look at this place where it says bill table. This is our bill table. So this is the table that determines the headers of your billing system that we are going to use on this template. So note that we call this one tuition, PTA, developmental fee, feeding, and so on. And I told us that whatever it is here can be edited to meet your reality. Okay, having noted that, now let's go to the menu. We are navigating to our bill breakdown interface. So I'll click on this. I'll take it away from admin to bill breakdown. So you can see that this one has changed to bill breakdown. So we now come to our bottom left. Can you see that it has changed away from admin? It has now reflected bill breakdown. So I'll click on that. So this is another interface, and on this interface, what you determine here is your bill breakdown, how you break down your school bills. Okay, first thing I want you to note is the names of the classes as listed on the admission. We determine the names with which our classes are called on the admin page. Remember, Okay, so now if you look at this heading, we have PTA, we have tuition, we have the developmental fee, feeding, first aid. This is exactly the same thing I asked you to take notes the other time on the admin interface. So whatever you put on that column on the admin interface, that is what you will have here as header. Okay, so now for GSS, for nursery 1A, for instance, you can now enter the billing. What do you want to charge for your school, for your tuition? Maybe 20,000 naira. Can you see? So the 20,000 naira has been added. For 1B, maybe 21,000 naira. For 1C, maybe 22,000 naira. Remember, all these are demo data. They are just for training purpose. For your PTA levy, maybe it's 1,000 naira flat for all classes. 1,000 naira flat for all classes. So I'll just drag this down. Okay, then for your developmental levy or maintenance, maybe it's 10,000 naira termly. Remember, this is just first term. If you look at this place, this is first term. So we are determining the bill for first term. So let's assume this one is also flat rate. So I'll just drag it down. Then for feeding, if your school is running a boarding school, you can put that. Otherwise, you can just leave it as dash. Leave it as dash. Okay, leave it as dash, since your school is not a boarding school. But if you have a kind of feeding arrangement for your school, even if it's a day school, you can just fix in the amounts there. Or better still, you can rename this feeding. Since it's not applicable to your school, rename it to any other thing that is important for your own peculiarity for your school bill. For first aid, in terms of maybe sick bay, some schools have sick bay or healing bay, whatever it is called in your school, or clinic, depends. So how much is a child to pay for that term? Maybe 10,000 naira, I'm just saying, just for training purpose. And if you don't call it first aid in your school, you can decide to change this heading to whatever the case is. Now, this is how you determine the bills, your school bill for each term. Don't mind the way I've labeled mine. Yours might be different. You know where to change it. Just come to menu, come to admin, scroll up back, come to this admin interface, come to this place admin, and you are going to change it here. This is where you change whatever heading that is not applicable to your own school. See, I have first aid, I have feeding. You might not be calling that in your school, so this is where you change it accordingly. Let's go back to our bill breakdown. So I'm navigating back to the bill breakdown. Okay, so this is where you determine all the amounts that a class is to pay for each term. Okay, so this is for first term. If you take a look at this, then if I scroll down, I told us that we can have 48 classes. So this is for second term. So after determining for first term, you also come to second term to come and enter the amount, the tuition, the PTA, whatever you call it in your school. Then the third term as well, the same thing is applicable. Look at this, is third term. So this template works per term, you understand, and all the three terms embedded into one. So what is the takeaway from here? So if I scroll back up, for instance, if I want to identify with a class, I want to just check the school bill for a class, I can just click on this place, click here and click on, maybe I want to look for 1C, nursery 1C. If I click on it, see, it has highlighted it in color green. So it makes it easy for me to be able to quickly identify the class and trace whatever amount or whatever field or whatever column I'm targeting or I want to find out. Okay, so this is where you determine your school bill or money that you can receive. This is where you determine them, and irrespective of what they are called, you know where to change the title of each of these monies. So in our next movement is going to be towards our payable. These payables refer to the amount that a child is expected to pay per term for each class. You can see we have payable for nursery 1A, payable for nursery 1B, payable for all the classes. So we are going to go to the payables for each class. All right, so it is time for us to do the main job. The main job is we go to each class to determine how much each child in each class will pay. Okay, and that is the essence of the payable interface. All the classes, as you upload them on this template, we have their payable interface. So that is where you determine the amount each class, each student for each class will pay. So since all of them are the same, I'm going to use nursery 1A as a case study. Whatever we do in nursery 1A is what we are going to do in nursery 1B, and so on and so forth throughout the classes. So far it is payable. You want to determine how much a child will pay. Okay, before we go to the payable, I want to bring your attention to something on the bill breakdown. If I click on the bill breakdown, let's go back to the interface of the bill breakdown. These are bill breakdown. If you look at nursery 1A, for instance, look at this nursery 1A. Let me highlight it so that you understand. If you look at nursery 1A, that green line, you see that the whole green line has extension up to this point where it says 41,000 naira. Can you see? Oh, sorry, I've not changed this amount back to naira. Remember, I changed it to CD when I was explaining how to change currency. So let me go and change this currency back to naira so that you see the application. So I'll come to menu, I'll go to this drop down and go back to admin. We can only do that on the admin interface. Once I check on admin, I'll come to this admin interface. Then I will scroll down. I will scroll down to this point that it says specify your currency, this place. So I'll change it to naira and kobo. Okay, I've changed my currency to naira and kobo. So let's go and see the effect. So I'll go back to menu. Remember, we are on the payable interface for nursery 1A. I'll click on this and go back to nursery 1A payable. Once I click on that, so let's click on the payable. Can you see the currency has changed to naira and kobo? So that is how you change your currency. In case you are not a Nigerian, you are in any part of the world, whatever your currency is, that's how you change it. Okay, now I was showing you something, that the total amount that was allocated on the bill. Let's go back to the bill for nursery 1A. Let's go to bill breakdown. Bill breakdown. So this is our bill breakdown for nursery 1A. That is the green line. Let me scroll back so that you understand what I'm saying. Look at number 1 class is nursery 1A, and that is where we have the green line. It summed all the template summed all the monies allocated on the bill for nursery 1A, and eventually the sum is 41,000 naira. The amount nursery 1A is paying is different from what nursery 1B is paying, because the calculations of their bills are different. Okay, but we are using nursery 1A as a case study, 41,000 naira. Okay, please take note of the amount, 41,000, and that means in nursery 1A, as this case is, they are to pay 41,000 naira according to the school bill for this term, first term. Okay, now let's go back to the payable for nursery 1A. So we are in nursery 1A payable. Now look at this. You see that all the students in that class, nursery 1A, please take note of the class at the top here. Can you see? This is nursery 1A. All the students allocated to this class from the admission interface, all of them have 41,000 naira to pay flat, right? For first term. Please take note of this. This is our first term. Okay, so they have 41,000 naira to pay for first term. Now let's now assume a student that is called Madi. Let's highlight the student in green. Can you see I've highlighted the student in green? A student that is called Madi is on a scholarship of 5,000 naira. Maybe he did well in the last session and you want to award a scholarship to that student. If I should put the 5,000 naira here, 5,000 naira, look at what has happened to his total payable amount. That means minus 5,000 naira. Actually, the class bill is supposed to be 41,000 naira. But because Madi is on a scholarship of 5,000 naira, the moment I indicate that 5,000 naira here, is going to subtract it from the total payable amount for Madi. So 41,000 naira minus 5,000 naira is now giving us 36,000 naira. So while other classmates will be paying 41,000 naira flat, Madi will be paying 36,000 naira. Why? Because there is a deduction, there is a waiver. This is a deduction. So this is where you determine the exact amount individual child will pay. Now let's take another instance. Let's assume that a child called Talabi, C-A-L-A-B-I, Talabi, is owing for last term, is owing 5,000 and 10,000 naira from last term. So this is last session, right? So you are going to indicate the 10,000 naira owed here. So this child or this student is owing 10,000 naira from last academic session, debt. debt that is brought forward. What now happens to the amount of money is going to pay now? It's going to pay 51,000 naira. Why? Because the debt that is brought forward will be added to the actual school fees for this term, that is first term. At the end of the day, the child is paying 51,000 naira. Can you see? So for Madi, it's minus 5,000 naira because of the scholarship. But for Talabi, it's plus 10,000 naira because of the money owed the school. Can you see? So this is where you determine the exact and actual amount a student will eventually pay. Even if the school fees is 41,000 naira, there is still supposed to be some plus and minus. Plus in the sense that some students will be owing for last term or last session. Minus in the case that some students may be under scholarship or may be under discount. Let's take for instance Thompson, a child that is named Thompson. Let me click here and pick on Thompson. A child that is named Thompson, the parent had 4 children in your school, and as a result of that, you want to give Thompson a discount because Thompson is the 4th child. For instance, I'm just citing an instance. So at this place where it says discount, I can just say I'm giving this family a sum of 15,000 naira for having 4 children in my school. Can you see? So now let's see how much Thompson is going to pay for that class. You see, Thompson is going to pay 26,000 naira. While others will be paying 41, another person will be paying 36, another person will be paying 51, Thompson will be paying 26,000 naira. So this is where you determine the variance in the actual amount that is payable for each child per class. So whatever you are doing in primary nursery 1A is the same thing you do in nursery 1B and so on. So I'm using this class as a case study for payable. This is our payable, remember. So in the payable interface, that is where you decide how much each child will eventually pay, plus or minus what the school bill says. Okay, so this is for first term. So when you get to second term as well, you are going to decide on what will happen in second term. This is our second term, please take note. This is second term. Then on the third term as well, we have our third term template. So this is how you determine what a child will eventually pay. Up next will be to go to another interface. Let's click menu. Let's come to this place and click on we have seen payable, inflow. The next interface will be inflow, and I will explain that just in a moment. Okay, so we want to go to the inflow interface. Inflow, INFLOW. We want to go to that interface. Remember, we have talked about the admission interface. Let's look at what we have covered so far. We have talked about the admission interface. We have talked about the admin interface. We have spoken about bill breakdown interface. We just concluded our discussion on payable, where you determine the actual amount individual students or learner will pay in their class. Okay, so the next one is inflow. Inflow is an interface where you monitor inflow of payments. How much is received, how much is left. That is the next interface, and all classes have their own individual interfaces, okay, for inflow, just like they all have interfaces for payable. So as a case study, I'm going to use nursery 1A. Remember, we use nursery 1A as well when I want to explain the payable interface to explain for other classes. The same way in this inflow interface, I'm still going to use nursery 1A as a case study to monitor how money comes in and goes out, or what is expected. In fact, this inflow interface is where you can manage debt management, okay, where the payable interface helps you to set up your payment structure. That is what the payable interface does. But this inflow interface helps you to manage cash inflow and cash outflow and whatever debt is left unclaimed. Okay, so let's use nursery 1A as a case study for other classes. So I just clicked on, if you can see, I just clicked on nursery 1A inflow. Immediately we now have the tab for nursery 1A inflow. So I'll click on it. So this is how the interface looks. This is the interface for nursery 1A, the inflow. Okay, like I said, the inflow has to do with how money comes in or how students pay the money that is payable to them. For instance, we saw in the bill breakdown, in the payable, where some students have to pay 51,000, another one 41, another one 26,000. So how are they now paying it? This template allows for 4 installments. You can see the green coloration: first installment, second installment, third installment, and 4 installments. So we have 4 installments. So students are permitted to pay in 4 installments. It doesn't mean that they must pay in that 4 installments, but at least there is a grace for 4 installments on this template. Some students will pay at once, others will have to pay twice, sometimes 3 times. Okay, but there is a provision for 4 installment payments on this template. Okay, now let's assume that this is the amount, not assumption. Now this is the amount we have determined from the payable interface. We just covered that just now. You can see that Abdul is paying 41,000, Chua is paying 41, Madi is paying 36 because of the scholarship he is on, Thompson is paying 26,000 naira because they have 4 siblings in the school. Then Talabi, who is owing 10,000 naira. Remember, we covered this in our last explanation on payable. Now, how do these students, how will they now pay the money? Let's assume that in the first installment, Abdul pays 21,000 naira. This is first installment. So this 21,000 naira now, if you scroll to the end of this place, you see that 21 minus 41 is still having 20,000 left to balance. And that is, he has just paid 51.22% of his fee. Can you see? So this is where you check, you look at the status, financial status of each class or each student. Out of 41,000 naira, as we have it here, as we determined on the payable interface, not quite long. Now he has paid 21,000 naira in first installment. Out of 41, he paid 21. That means he's still having 20,000 naira left. Let's say he pays it through the bank. He made deposit through the bank. Then the date, you can indicate the date, maybe 10th, then to 2024. That's the payment date. So this is how you track inventory, money in and money out. So in the second installment, let's assume he pays 10,000 naira. So his payable amount is 41,000. I'm talking about Madi. Let me highlight Madi so that you understand what I'm saying. I'll make it green. Madi's line will be green. Can you see? It's the green line. His payable amount is 41,000 naira. His first installment, he made the payment of 21,000 naira through the bank on the 10th of October 2024. Then the second installment, he made a payment of 10,000 naira through, let's say he made a cash payment in the school front desk. Then that was on the 11th of 11, 2024. That is a month later. Now you see that his money is not balanced yet. If you come to the summary of his payment, you will see that he still has 10,000 naira left to balance. He has 10,000 naira left to balance. And that is 75.61%. So from here, you'll be able to know which child you need to drive home for debt. You understand? By the time you look at the percentage payment, you'll be able to know that 75 is still fair enough. Let's give him a week or let's give him 2 weeks. They've tried. Compared to people that still have 0% paid. So this is how you are going to track or manage debt. Okay? So for the second child, let's say for Thompson, or let's say for Talabi that has 51,000 naira to pay for this term. His first installment, let's say he pays 25,000 naira. He made a payment of 25,000 naira. And the good thing is that this template is helping you to summarize how much has been collected so far in that class. Can you see this 46,000? That means the total money that has been collected in first installment in this class is 46,000 naira. So as they are making payment, this template is tracking your progress, your financial progress in that class. So you know that, okay, this class have been able to realize 46,000 naira so far from this class in their first installment. Okay, so Talabi made a payment of 25,000 naira. Now, if you go and check the summary, you see that he still has 26,000 naira left, and that 25,000 naira is just 49.02%. So which is still less than 50%. So you might still decide to, take this child up or follow up on this child so that they can increase their payments so that the percentage will be worth something good. So that was for first term. You can do the same thing for second term and third term and so on. Now there is a brought forward. Look at this. Remember, this is second term. If let's assume that this is what the payment summary is just for this class. let's assume no payment is made again throughout. Maybe they are chronic debtors. Let me use that language, chronic debtors. Now, when it gets to second term, let's see what happens. This is my second term. The second term, we have also determined how much they are going to pay in their second term. Can you see? Now, look at this 26,000 that is left. Remember, there was 26,000 debt here. So the template will bring it forward to second term. This is the debt that is still owed in this class. So the total amount of money that is yet to be collected in this class is 139,000 naira. Can you see? So this inflow interface helps you to track payment, help you to manage debt, and gives you a summary of where to intensify your efforts when you are chasing or when you are doing money drive. Okay, so in our next focus, we'll be looking at another interface in this template. Let's see what other interface we have. After the inflow, the next interface will be the summary. So let's quickly cover that. We have covered all the the inflow. So the summary, class fee summary. So if I click on this, so we have the class fee summary. Let me update this to our recent data. Yes, so we have this. What is this telling us? This is telling us what this class, nursery 1A, the summary of the class. How much are we expecting from this class? We're expecting 195,000 naira. How much have we recovered? Only 56,000 naira. How much balance is left? 139,000 naira. That means what we have recovered is less than 28.7%. So from here, you'll be able to get the summary, the performance of this class, and you'll be able to know how to intensify your effort in recovering your money from this class. Because 28.7% is still very, very low. That means that a lot of money still are yet to be recovered from this class. So that is what the class summary interface, that is what it does. So of course, after the class summary, you can now go to the receipt. Okay, let's go to daily logbook. This daily logbook is just like an inventory. You want to track your items in the school, for instance, the airtime you bought, just for logistics, for schools that has a lot of logistics that they have to track. How many textbooks are sold, how many mathematics textbooks, how many items generally that is aside from school fees. Every other logistics or miscellaneous spending, you can also track it on this template. Okay, that's what this interface does. That's why we call it a day logbook. Then after the day logbook, then we have the receipt. This receipt, this is where you generate invoice. This is where you generate receipt for the student. Let me update it with our data. Okay, so this is how you change the variables. So this is the receipt interface. So depending on, we did not populate this entire template with actual figure. That's why some important parts are scanty. But this is where you generate the receipt. If I should press Ctrl P, for instance, let's see what happens. Can you see? So you'll be able to generate the receipt from here. You can generate in triplicates. That means you can generate 3 receipts on one A4 paper. That is our modifications that we are doing right away. You can generate, you see, these are 3 receipts that you can generate on one A4 paper. And first receipt, depending on the student you are able to pick, this one is student number 1. If I change it to student number 2, so it means that student number 2, there's no data so far because we have not populated everything as we need to. I'm just using this as for training purpose. Okay, so this is the first receipt. The second receipt also have its own control to determine whose child receipt is this. For instance, if 3 parents makes payment, I want to generate receipt for them. So the first one at the top can be for child A. The second receipt can be for child B. You can just change the number, the position of the child here. So that means that on one page, you can have receipt for 3 students. Then you can cut it into triplicates. So this is just the summary of the school fees management and debt recovery template. So I believe I've been able to at least cover extensively what each template does. So the summary is that you can use this template to manage your school fees, to track your inventory, to manage your inflow and outflow of funds, You can also use it to manage inventory. The essence of this video tutorial is for you to be able to use this as a model, and for you to be able to understand what is obtainable with using Excel to manage school fees management and debt recovery. Of course, you can also partner with us. Like this template I use for this demo tutorial is for a school we deliver to. So in case you have any questions, or you have any other features that is lacking that you want us to add to your own copy, or you want to partner with us, yeah, you are free. Please comment in the section. I'm going to put the details of how I can be contacted in the description of this video. Please do make it a date with us. We can, build a custom template for you and your school.